32, 33, 34, give me 35, baby, 35.
How's this 5? Ready to go? Oh, yeah. The Meelod XT600 is a full suspension 26-inch fat tire electric bike. It's a very unique looking e-bike. But the big question is it worth the price? You can check the price in the link below this video. But don't buy it just yet. Let's crack this box open, take a closer look at it, take it out for a ride, and see what the XT600 is made of. Right away, we can see one thing that makes this e-bike different is that light integrated into, well, look at the seat. So compared to the dual motor variation of this bike, this front wheel is significantly lighter without that motor on front. Should make for some nicer handling, but we do get 203mm rotors on the brakes, branded Tektro, Kenda tires, Juggernaut, and look at those. And of course the unique styling. Here's everything that comes in the box. One pretty cool thing about this bike is the size of the charger. It's a 48-volt bike and they give us a 4.5 amp charger, which will help us charge this battery fast. And speaking of fast, we get a fast ace coil shock on the rear. Of course, there are adjustments for both compression as well as rebound. And we're gonna ride with freedom with the Bafang hub motor. It is stamped as a 750 watt motor, which will be receiving its power from a 25 amp controller that we can just kind of barely see up in there. Of course, the battery is removable and it is listed as a 24.5 amp hour 48 volt battery with 1176 watt hours of energy. Considering we should be drawing about half the power as the dual motor variation of this bike, we should get more range. We'll find out. And 24.5 divided by a 4.5 amp charge rate would be
approximately 5.4444
hours to recharge the battery from completely empty to completely full. Pretty fast, really. Around back, we get Tektro hydraulic brakes and a slightly smaller 180mm rotor on the back, which is actually kind of a more standard size compared to the giant 203mm rotor on the front wheel, where most of your stopping power is. Of course, we do get suspension up front in the form of a dual crown fork, typical preload adjustment on the left, and a compression adjustment on the right with clicks. Popping the handlebars on, we see we do get Tektro hydraulic levers, round rubber grips. We can adjust our pedal assist, signals, lights, horn. We'll flip this display on in a few, and 7 gears on the Shimano shifter. And of course, the all-important quarter twist throttle on the right. Handlebars are relatively flat. There's a small rise. They don't really sweep back or anything. So riding position on this bike will be locked in place. Seat is not adjustable. Probably end up riding this more like a motorcycle. I'll show you what I look like out in a few. Front wheel attaches with a big old through axle. Definitely take your battery off for this one. Here's the pedals they give us. And this is not my favorite place to put a kickstand, because now you can't roll the bike back. Bummer. Final box contains the headlight, which also acts as the horn. So let's pop that battery on there. And as you might have noticed, this bike comes in black, whereas the dual motor comes in red. So here's what a 6'5" dude looks like getting on this bike. Seat is definitely firm, but it's got that coil rear suspension. As a dude with a 34 inseam, this is not really the kind of bike I would be buying if I wanted to do a lot of pedaling. It does have a vibe, dude. This thing does just feel cool. All about that style, dude. Well, I need to get some air in those tires. Here's the standover height for me standing up. I have plenty of room to kind of swing a leg over this bike. I drop down here a little bit. We'll flip it around. I'll show you the gears in a minute. First, let's power this thing up. Boom. So we do get a color display, gives us our miles per hour up front and center. And shift through our pedal assist, which we do get 5, and it gives us our battery life up here in terms of bars. We can tab on through trip, max speed, average speed, odometer. Just like the other bike, there is a switch right here to turn on and off the headlight, which is pretty bright. And then you also get an option here to make it low beam, high beam, which does change how many lights are on, which way they're facing. It's a pretty bright light. There are turn signals. I think there's 2 red wires up here on front. I might have hooked them up backwards. We'll fix that later. And then there's a horn. Let's try it. There you go. Regardless of whether or not you have the headlight on, if you grab the brake lever, you do get a brake light. If you turn on the headlight, you get a light on the rear. And also, if you pull the brake lever, you can see it lights up a little extra. Yeah, I think I definitely hooked up those turn signals wrong because there's nothing going on there. The weight of this electric bicycle is listed as 118 pounds with a 450 pound max payload. And while the placement of that kickstand is not ideal for rolling the bike back, it sure is nice for rotating the bike. The basic Shimano tourney derailleur is protected by a derailleur guard in case you knock the bike over. It won't mess this stuff up. And for those of you who will be pedaling, you get Shimano gears on the cassette. 7 Shimano gears. The chain ring up front indicates that this bike will be geared more for slower speed pedaling as compared to high speed pedaling. So let's fire up the Bafang motor. How's this 5? Ready to go? Oh yeah, dude! Speedometer is showing us, whoa, 36 miles an hour. All right, dude. news. Let's check out the Meelod XT600 single motor. We'll see how the single motor affects our range. Of course, we'll track our official range on the Strava. So let's do the thing. Ooh, we got a little get up and go. So we know the dual motor variation of this e-bike did pretty well on 20% grade. How will this one do? I weigh 200 pounds, full throttle on pedal assist 5. Let's just see how it does. It's pulling us up. I can tell it's not quite giving us full power, but it is pulling us up. Absolutely no problem at all. And of course, I was not pedaling at all going up that hill. Can we see the screen through the polarized lenses? The answer is yes, I can. So first observations, you know, the seat on this bike is a little bit firm, quite a bit firm, but we are sitting on that coil shock, so that will help absorb the impact. Riding this bike on pedal assist 0, obviously, pedaling, it will give you nothing. Throttle will give you nothing. Bumping onto 1, we do have a, I believe, cadence sensor, which will take us gently up to about 9 miles an hour. It will cut us off. Wait, is this a cadence sensor or a torque sensor? Actually, I think this might be a torque sensor. So let's try pedal assist 2. Pedal assist 2 will bring us to about 13 miles an hour. And as you guys already know from the dual motor variation of this bike, the seat is not adjustable. So as a 6'5" dude, this one's gonna be a little bit awkward to pedal. I'm not gonna be pedaling much today, so it'll be interesting to see how the battery range pans out running a single motor versus a dual motor on the same size battery. On pedal assist 3 here, starting from a stop, rotating the pedals here lightly. Is this a torque sensor or a cadence sensor? Let's press a little harder. This, I'm pretty sure this is a torque sensor. So on pedal assist 3, let's try throttle, see what that does. That'll take us up to, well, it's putting on power pretty quickly here. Putting on speed pretty quickly. So I think it's gonna take us up to max. Let's get this thing on pedal assist 4, rolling into this corner. So right away, I can tell, that, I ride a lot of dual motor electric bikes. When you don't have a motor on the front wheel, it makes it like a lot more like nimble. Or maybe what I should say is when you do have a motor on the front, you get a much more lethargic handling experience. Just a lot of unsprung mass on the front wheel that's rotational. So it really changes the handling characteristics having dual motor versus single hub motors. And pedal assist 4, it doesn't give us any sort of power indicator. It looks like it's holding us at about 20 here. Might help see the display a little better if we remove the protective film. Definitely looks a little clearer. And before we put on pedal assist 5, let's do a little bit of off-roading on this thing just to remember what it's like. So it does have the coil rear shock. Feels pretty nice going over this. I have the rear tire deflated down to about 20 PSI to kind of ease that suspension just a little bit more, and we'll put it on pedal assist 5 now. Pop on out here into traffic and see what kind of speeds we can hit. So throttle only 22, 25, 20, 30. Under throttle only 32 into headwind. We'll get out the GPS here and verify what kind of 33 into headwind according to this, 34 into headwind. And it does have compression and rebound adjustments on this rear suspension. So let's get up here and try out the 0 to 20 acceleration. So from a stop, I weigh 200 pounds. We'll do 0 to 20, throttle only, ready, go. So it kind of eases on the power. 10, 15, 18, 20. And a pretty quick bike, albeit not as fast as the dual motor. To be expected though, I mean, dual motor, you're putting down basically 2,000 watts. So with just a little bit of tailwind, we're gonna whip this thing around, see what kind of high speed we can hit. Watch out now, Ford. Whoa, buddy. You scared. 23, throttle only, 26, 27. Actually, the wind might be blowing at me right now. 28, yeah, I think I'm going into the wind. Usually the wind goes the other way. 29, speedometer looks accurate. 30, right about 30 going this way. And I cannot pedal to help it at all at this speed. Generally, the wind is blowing this way. I don't think there is any wind today, really, at all. I'm hitting pretty much the same speed both directions. 30, come on, baby, give me 31. There we go. 32, we're picking up speed. All right, we gotta try out the brakes, man. This light is red. Sliding forward on that seat a little bit. So we'll pop on out there and try it on the flat sand here in a bit. But first I need to figure out, is this thing a torque sensor or a cadence sensor? So I'm just not pedaling hardly at all on pedal assist 5. This thing should be giving me like full power if this was if it was a cadence sensor. So yeah, it's a torque sensor, man. Yeah, dude, it's a pretty decent feeling torque sensor. So the harder you press on the pedals, the more power it's gonna give you in proportion to how hard you're pressing on the pedals. And being this tall, I don't really wanna use this torque sensor because this bike just, my knees are popping way up to me. This bike's kind of designed to be used probably for a shorter individual than 6'5". So I'm gonna rely on the throttle, man. Oh, the bike thief is out, the bike thief is out. He's looking at snatching something up here. Let's circle back around and see if we can catch him in the act. Looks like he didn't take anything. He's walking off down there. Oh, right on to the next one here though. Is it locked up nice? He didn't answer. Straight on to the next one. So let's try and go uphill in the sand, throttle only, see if we can kind of power through this. Yeah, I can do it. So let's see how the suspension feels on this relatively harsh patch of, yeah, it's not the most plush rear suspension on this bike. If you're looking to do an off-roading, there are adjustments on it. I actually don't know like if I have it on like firm or soft or what. It's a coil shock. So generally these coil shocks, I just feel kind of like more planted than an air shock like I mentioned in my dual motor variation review of this bike. So if you're gonna want to do sand riding, I'm guessing you should probably opt for the dual motor variation of this bike. But let's just see how this single motor variation does if we just kind of power through. I'm not pedaling at all right now. We're just doing throttle only, kind of losing steam. And I'm gonna start pedaling just a little bit here. And we're actually getting through the sand. I wonder if I should go flying off that cliff, and probably not. So we're gonna pretty much at this point be forced to see how well this thing can do. Cruising along here, throttle only, not too shabby, not crushing it, going about 9 miles an hour. Hopefully the controller will keep giving us the power. Having a motor on each wheel is obviously the ideal torque delivery solution to this problem. Powering through, man, 10 miles an hour. So it's actually doing better than I thought it was gonna do, to tell you the truth. Just had to do a pit stop out here to do some of those action shots. I think I've covered that dude in the sand over there, man. Let's hop back on this thing, give it a little bit of a roll out, see if we can get out of here. So on the low end, I mean, just the torque is, it's good, but it's just not, you know, you can't compare it to all-wheel drive. Rear suspension's a little bit tight. My dude's out here jamming. That dude is always in such a good vibe. Oh, sir, wrong. 2 people on that thing. Those ladies did not look happy. Meanwhile, they about got ran over by me stopping. So we'll go test it out on the California incline. It will be the top of that cliff up there. You probably already know it's 85 feet tall. We'll certainly be able to do it because it's only 12% grade, and that's about half of the parking garage grade. The question will be, how much of a toll will it take on the battery and how will it affect our range? So rolling into the loop-de-loop here, we will use throttle only, no pedaling, and this bike does handle a little bit better, I can tell, than the dual motor variation, but it doesn't climb quite as good. So we'll floor it on the way down this hill and hopefully not crash into that wall. We'll also floor it going up. 14, 15, 17, 19, and I am seeing 4 out of 5 bars on the display. A little bit of voltage sag, that happens under any high power situation on any battery, and it looks like we are peaking out at about 20 miles an hour going up the California incline. So let's whip it around, see what kind of speeds we can do going down the California incline. And we'll put the Tektro brakes to the test. We do have a 203 millimeter up front and a 180 on rear. 32, 33, 34, 34, give me 35, baby, 35, 34, 35, I saw it. And the hydraulic disc brakes, you know, they feel good. Good thing they did not fail us. There's a larger brake rotor on the front, 203 millimeter and is that 180 on the rear? Yeah, 180 on the rear, which makes sense because most of your stopping power is gonna be on the front wheel. It would have been fine with 180s, honestly, but hey, the more brakes, the better. So if you get yourself in a situation where you need to stop quickly from about 20 miles an hour, you should have no problem doing so. Dude, this bike has no problem going fast. A little bit of tailwind here, hitting 31 on a flat, 32. So final thoughts on the Meelod XT600. I mean, dude, this bike's a vibe. If you like the style of this bike, I think it looks pretty cool personally. It's a pretty fast bike. Downsides are the seat is probably not the most comfortable. It's a little bit hard, but the suspension does make up for that to some degree. And the price is a little bit high. MSRP is $2,500, but if you check the link below this video in the description box, this bike is on sale right now, pretty steep discount. And if you did buy through that link down there in the description box, of course, that would support my reviews here on Tail Happy TV, and I greatly appreciate your support. But let's head on home, see what the final range is on the single motor XT600 by Meelod. Doing a little bit of street riding on the way home. I'll put my blinker on since I have it. One of the things I love about having a big battery is you can just run it faster for so much longer. This thing whips, man, for a legal-ish kind of e-bike. So just rolling up on 18 miles exactly, almost 14 mile an hour average speed today, which is pretty quick. And we are just showing 3 out of 5 bars for the first time. And I did not pedal this bike like at all today, and I was running it pretty hard, and that like just crossed over 3 bars. I bet if we turn it off and turn it back on, it'll show 4. Yeah, 4 bars. I would say it's over 50%. You could probably do
Well, it just depends on how you ride it, man.
All right, dudes, let's get an exact readout. 49.2 volts, so meh. Over 50%.
So if you want to grab one, buy it through the link below this video in the description box. It'll give you the best price and also help support my reviews on Tail Epi TV. However, if this is not the kind of electric bicycle you're looking for, watch this video next. Catch you over there.